Greetings. Welcome to a tabula alba on relative clauses in action, featuring Diana. That is the goddess of the hunt and forest and running around with a bow and arrow. Okay. Here's a sentence with two clauses. You've got the main clause and you've got the relative clause. The relative clause starts with the relative pronoun, in this case, quae, and it ends when it ends. It ends when it has completed its clause. And conveniently in this sentence, I'm ending with the verb. Not all relative clauses end with the verb. The word order might vary, but they do begin with the relative pronoun. So, Deam quae nos servavit laudamus. The relative pronoun takes its gender and number from the antecedent. Quae, okay, the form quae can actually be a lot of things. But here we're seeing the antecedent, which is the pronoun, or sorry, the noun that it refers back to. The goddess who has saved us, we praise, or in a more English word order, we praise the goddess who has saved us. Quae is looking back to Deam, and it gets its gender and number from the antecedent, so feminine and singular. Deam is feminine and singular. Now the form quae could actually be a lot of things if you look at it, if you think about it in the declension, but in this particular sentence, in this context, it makes most sense that it's feminine singular, referring back to Deam. That's our antecedent. But the case of the relative pronoun comes from its function within the relative clause. And it might be a very different case, a very different function from what the antecedent is doing in the main clause. So here, quae nos servavit, it's nominative. Who has saved us? Okay, I took away the picture so I can break down the sentence. The main clause, Deam laudamus, there we go. The antecedent Deam is accusative because it's a direct object in the main clause. We praise the goddess. And quae in the relative clause, quae is actually standing in for a form of dea. Notice how dea here in the second one is nominative, because dea or quae is functioning as a subject within its clause. Who has saved us? That's standing in for Dea nos servavit, the goddess has saved us. Here's another example. Templum Dei cui gratias egimus pulchrum est. Pause for a moment, try translating that. Okay. The temple of the goddess, to whom we have given thanks, is beautiful. Now, let's break this down. Cui is the relative pronoun. It gets its gender and number from Dea. You may notice a little theme here to keep things easy. I'm just using forms of goddess as the antecedent. So it's going to be feminine and singular. Now, what case is cui? If you think about the declension, cui, that's dative. Cool. Is that true? It is true. Yes. So it's dative. Okay. The temple of the goddess to whom we have given thanks is beautiful. And this is idiomatic. You could also translate it as the temple of the goddess whom we thanked is beautiful. And it sounds like it might be a direct object in English, but in Latin, using this idiom, it is an underlying dative functioning as a direct object. So we've got a feminine singular dative. Oops. Yeah, we're done with that. Here is our last example. Dea ad cujus templum venimus silvas regit. The goddess, well, okay, pause for a moment and try translating it. This one I think might be a little trickier. Dea ad cujus templum venimus silvas regit. The goddess to whose temple we have come rules the forests. Now, how does this work? And where does the relative clause start? Well, okay, let's look at cujus. What's the antecedent of cujus? Is the antecedent of cujus ad? No, that's silly. Ad isn't a noun. An antecedent has to be a noun. Ad is a preposition that, oh wow, takes the accusative. Let's clear this up. Okay, make it go away, yes. Okay, so the antecedent of cujus is, as I've indicated here with the arrows, dea. So the gender is feminine, again, and the number is singular. Okay, what case is cujus? It is genitive. And can I give you a little hint? Translating the genitive of a relative pronoun pretty much all the time, maybe not, but a lot of the time, just go for whose and you'll get through. It's great. Now, let's talk about what is the relative clause. You may notice that I have put brackets around ad cujus templum venimus, to whose temple we have come. And just as in English, in Latin, you can start a relative clause with a preposition, to whose temple we have come. In colloquial English, you could also say, whose temple we have come to. In Latin, in English, it's actually okay to dangle prepositions. But in Latin, you can't stick the preposition at the end of a clause, no matter how natural it might sound in English. So that's why I put our brackets here, because the ad actually goes here. It goes in the relative clause. So let's break down this sentence into its constituent parts. First of all, you may notice that ad and templum go together. Ad takes the accusative. But that's not what we're relative pronouning. What we're relative pronouning is cujus, referring back to dea. To whose temple, or to the temple of whom. And the two underlying clauses that are combined by the relative pronoun, first of all, let me clear everything. There we go. First of all, dea silvas regit, the goddess rules the forests, and then the relative clause, ad dei templum venimus. This is what cujus is standing in for. We have come to whose temple? To the goddess's temple. we've come. There you go. And just so you know, this is how you say happy little trees in Latin, arbusculi laetae. Okay, thank you. Walete. Get out and take a walk. Enjoy nature. Bye.